Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. Jude Bellingham to Liverpool is off. That is the news that we heard last night from many top tier journalists that Liverpool have allegedly cooled their interest in one Jude Bellingham, and that is where this whole video has stemmed from. We're going to be talking about Jude Bellingham and about Liverpool and everything else in between. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe, and also get involved in the comment section as well. I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings on this Jude Bellingham situation, and of course the fact that Liverpool last night have allegedly cooled their interest in signing him, in pursuing him. I'd love to know all of that stuff from you guys as well down below in the comment section, because I'm sure it'll make for interesting reading. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's talk about this, because I'm going to be honest, I'm a little annoyed. I am a little annoyed with how things have turned out in this one, because although that I kind of over the past month or so became disassociated or from the fact, or kind of made my peace with the fact that I genuinely believe Liverpool were not going to be signing Jude Bellingham a little bit more, the news and the reality kind of stings still a little bit. Because there was, even though I kind of was coming around to the terms of, oh, Liverpool won't sign him because this, and this, in my opinion, which I'll get onto a little later, there was a nagging thought in my head that said maybe, just maybe, we will push the boat out a little bit in this one. We will pull our finger out a little bit more in terms of this transfer, because it is worth it to do that, and we may get him. Obviously, that nagging little voice was wrong. I should have gone with the majority, in the fact that I believed that more and more so that Liverpool were not going to be signing him. And obviously that element of doubt crept into my mind more and more after, obviously, last month there was a report coming out that stated that Liverpool were not going to be entering a bidding war with the likes of Real Madrid and Manchester City, two teams that have also been linked with signing Jude Bellingham. We all know this saga. We've documented it a fair amount. Jude Bellingham is going to be leaving Borussia Dortmund at the end of the season, and obviously there are a lot of teams that are interested, because he is a player of high quality, even for a player of his age of 19, 20. He's a well-rounded midfielder, complete midfielder, who still has the time and space to grow and evolve in the game still. Like I say, he's very young, but he's already playing at a high level, has proved it in the Bundesliga with Dortmund, proved it on a Champions League level with Dortmund, and also proved it on an international stage with England, of course. Fantastic midfielder, hence why there is a lot of interest in the youngster, and obviously can probably go on to win multiple things in his career, whether it is as a team in terms of silverware, or whether it is individually with many individual accolades, I'm sure, waiting for him to take up wherever he goes. Obviously, over the past couple of years or so, there's been a lot of interest in him from Liverpool especially. Liverpool have been a team that have been heavily linked with his signature, heavily linked with signing him. A lot of transfer speculation in regards to him, not with other teams as well, but mainly with Liverpool, obviously. And Liverpool were hanging their hopes high, I guess you'd say, on signing him. But obviously the news came out last night that Liverpool had allegedly cooled their interest in him. There goes my hope of seeing Jude Bellingham in a Liverpool shirt. There goes my hope of seeing Jude Bellingham take that infamous number 8 shirt. Obviously with Naby Keita leaving in the summer, that would leave the number 8 shirt available, and I would have hoped to have seen Bellingham in that number 8 shirt. Iconic for Liverpool, obviously. Iconic, of course, because of the Liverpool legend Steven Gerrard. That was his famous shirt. Someone who Bellingham seemingly idolised as a kid and would have loved to maybe have stepped in his shoes, kind of thing. There goes my hope of seeing that. And like I say, even though I become disassociated with the fact that I genuinely thought that more and more so that Liverpool weren't going to be signing him, it still stings just that little bit, knowing how FSG didn't see this as a worthwhile signing, didn't see this as a signing to kind of push the boat out more and sign, and just obviously stings that we've got to make do with alternatives once again. We've got to make do with alternative signings in the summer. And again, I'll get onto that a little later as well. Like I say, the news broke last night from many top-tier journalists, and I remember reading James Pearce's report last night on this. He basically stated in his article that Liverpool did not see Jude Bellingham as a worthwhile signing, simply for the reason that the money that was being talked about was very high. It wasn't just the total fee from Dortmund, it was also when you add on the likes of the clauses that were going to be in contracts and stuff, and obviously when you add on agent fees and all of that stuff, and player salary and all that stuff as well. Liverpool did not see that. Liverpool also see a big rebuild coming along in the summer, and they decided that they want to look past Bellingham in order to kind of spread the money out across the squad, and obviously in their terms not put all the eggs in that Jude Bellingham basket, and obviously go for more of a rebuild than just one or two players, which to them would have been the case if obviously they had signed Bellingham and then obviously got rid of a couple and then used that money maybe to sign another one or two players. They want to kind of have a big summer rebuild after what has been a horrible season. And look, I've got my thoughts on that, which is terrible. It's a poor excuse in my opinion, and it kind of leads me to think, is that genuine, or is it a bit of PR spin? Is it genuine in terms of, do FSG really believe that? Do FSG really believe that the money that's being paid for and everything is not worth it? Because in my opinion, Jude Bellingham for this amount of money, the 130 odd million that's being talked about, it kind of pays itself out over the next 10 years or so. You keep Bellingham for 10 years, he instantly repays that. He re-energizes and resurrects that midfield. Not entirely on his own, of course. There are other players that obviously need to be brought into the fold for him to obviously work as a unit and work as a team. He comes in. He's going to be there for the next 10 years or so. That money surely pays itself off in the long run. Plus, we're Liverpool Football Club. Are you telling me that we've spent the past several years rebuilding and resurrecting ourselves on and off the field under Jurgen Klopp, winning all the trophies that were possible to win, Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, going off to all different places in Europe and the rest of the world to compete for different trophies and things like that and different tournaments, to resurrect ourselves on and off the pitch in terms of financial gain and recognition once again, and everything to be recognised as a giant that had been lying dormant for a number of years, to be reawakened, for us to then not be able to push the boat out on these kinds of signings. Like I say, don't get me wrong, I've said it time and time again, you don't need to spend stupid amounts of money to build a team. You don't need to spend like a ton of money or this kind of money on every single different position to build a world-class team. You can find little gems here and there for cut prices, cut deals, or for small prices that people may have overlooked from other teams. Look at Brighton, for example. Brighton run their club so brilliantly, so sufficiently, that they constantly find these little gems here and there to fill in the gaps for their team. And when they lose a big player, they instantly replace him. And they replace him with good players because they've got a good scouting system. I genuinely believe that can obviously make a substantial team along the way. But every so often, every now and again, there comes a player like a Bellingham that will come into your life, and it will be a player that's going to be worth a lot of money, that you need to take the gamble on, that you need to obviously push the boat out a little bit more to get. And Liverpool, I believe, in this situation, if everything is to be true on this, have missed the boat on this one completely. So then I'll ask the question again. Is it genuine? Is the money factor an issue? Because again, we've spent a couple of years trying to get this deal. We've hung our hats on this deal being a marquee signing, a massive deal that would help resurrect Liverpool for the future. Is it genuine that the money has played an issue? In which case, what the hell was the point of the last couple of years? Or is this a bit of PR spin? many people seem to believe that it's not a case of this. This is what Liverpool have just thrown out there to kind of save face a little bit, even though it's kind of still embarrassing whichever way around this goes, that maybe Bellingham did eventually reject Liverpool, and that's why they've had to put this bit of spin on this. In my opinion, maybe there is an element that Bellingham might look at Manchester City and Real Madrid as a bit more of an attractive offer in terms of the package that they can offer Bellingham, and maybe the kind of long-term substantial success that maybe they can offer that's a bit more guaranteed than Liverpool say. But we know that Bellingham wanted Liverpool. We know that he's come out multiple times and expressed his admiration and his interest in maybe joining Liverpool. It's been reported on numerous times that this was a transfer there for the taking from Liverpool. Bellingham has seemingly come out and said numerous times that this was a place that he admired, a place that he considered going, and everything else along with that. So in my opinion, I don't necessarily think it's a case of Bellingham rejecting us. I think it is more of a case of FSG pulling out when the heat got turned on. When the heat came up, FSG pulled out. FSG pulled out of the bidding war, which is embarrassing. Like I say, absolutely embarrassing considering that we spent a couple of years on this deal, doing all the sweet talking, all of the hard work, putting a lot of time and effort into this seemingly behind the scenes, only to then, before the transfer window's even opened, and I know that obviously transfers can happen at any point during a season, for them to go, actually, nah, you're alright, we'll leave this one, we'll go after several more players in regard to this one that can obviously work out in the long run. And like I say, we're Liverpool Football Club. Big club. There is a lot of money there to be spent. They just don't want to pull their finger out enough. How come FFP can only affect us? Seriously, like, how can FFP only really affect Liverpool Football Club? I know that obviously, you know, City have seemingly been caught and there's an investigation there. I know that they're looking into Chelsea, and I know that Everton have got their problems with FFP as well. But in the past decade, have seen numerous times where the likes of Arsenal and Manchester United have failed to get Champions League football. And I know that we're in that kind of realm right now. But they've still gone on to make big signings. I know that we're not going to get Champions League football, but I genuinely think that without Champions League football, we can still attract big players, because I've seen Arsenal do it. I've seen Manchester United do it in recent years. I think that even without Champions League football, Bellingham would still be very much interested in coming to Liverpool. Like I say, he's expressed an interest, he's expressed an admiration for the club. Even though we're not heading towards Champions League football, no excuse. No excuse for not going out and attracting big players. Because I've seen Arsenal do it. I've seen Manchester United do it. I've seen Chelsea do it. Chelsea are going to do it again in the summer. Chelsea are going to finish a mediocre mid-table finish this season. Maybe even less, probably, if things obviously continue for them. But they're still going to go out in the summer and they're going to spend big money, because there's a massive, long-term, ambitious project there that's going to fill players with a lot of hope and a lot of optimism that it can work out. It's a massive gamble from Chelsea, but the players are going to like the idea of a massive long-term project. We've got the hope of a rebuild. We've got the hope that this is just a one-off season. I don't understand why we can't push the boat out, pull our finger out a little bit more in these types of situations, but other teams can. It just baffles me. And that kind of leads me into my next point and my next question. What on God's earth were Liverpool expecting to happen here? We spent 2 years on this deal. This was a deal that was 2 years in the making. We were going to sit patiently and wait for Bellingham to make his decision, for us to offer Bellingham the contract, obviously offer Dortmund the fee, offer him the contract, offer him the promise of obviously Champions League football and challenging for trophies and all of this good stuff. Only to then pull out of the deal a fair few months before the transfer window even opens. because the fee is too much for Liverpool to handle. What? What? Someone make it make sense. We knew. I knew. You knew. Everybody knew the kind of price range that Dortmund were going to be looking for in terms of a transfer fee. We all knew what was going to happen with a player with this much ability right now and this much potential for the future, that he was obviously going to be worth a lot of money in terms of a transfer fee and in terms of interest, because obviously there are going to be big teams from across Europe that are going to be interested, offering big wage packets, massive agent fees, and obviously clauses to go along with that in terms of, you do this, we will pay you this amount of money, and everything else that goes along with that. What were Liverpool expecting from this? Explain to me this. What were Liverpool expecting for this? Were they expecting to sweet talk Dortmund around enough for them to lower the price budget? Were they expecting them to slash the transfer fee if they sweet talked them enough? We all knew the price tag and everything else that was going to be going on with Jude Bellingham right from the get-go, and we all thought, we're not spending because this is obviously the goal. This is obviously the prize at the end of it. We've just got to be. The club is being patient. Fans didn't want to be patient. Fans wanted it right now, and I can understand why. But this is now what we've come to expect. This is now what we've come to expect. Liverpool talking a big game, and then not delivering when it comes to crunch time, in terms of obviously transfers and stuff, because now we're going to go for alternatives, and those alternatives that are going to come in are going to have massive expectations on their shoulders because they're not Jude Bellingham, and they're not going to have the same ability, the same potential as Jude Bellingham. They still might work out. Don't get me wrong. They still might, because like I say, you don't need to spend massive amounts of money all at the same time on big players for them to all work out. Some of them can turn out to be flops, and you can find an absolute gem for only a few million, come in and do a massive job for the team and be an absolute diamond in the rough kind of thing. They could still work out. But they're going to have a lot of pressure on their shoulders. They're going to have a lot of expectation. Believe me, I know what some Liverpool fans are like. Some won't give them new players the time of day. Some will be heavily scrutinising them new players, saying they're not Bellingham, they're not this, they're not that. We've got to back the team at some point. And whilst it is frustrating, and I am annoyed, and I am frustrated, I don't want to see that kind of heavily scrutinised on players that it's not even their fault of. It should be FSG, and believe me, there's probably a lot more coming for FSG now, because let's face it, this was what Liverpool fans, and a lot of Liverpool fans at that, were hanging their hats on all season. This was the news that obviously a lot of Liverpool fans were hoping would give them a bit of hope and a bit of optimism. News of maybe signing Jude Bellingham in the summer. That was the big hope, that maybe a big marquee player was going to come in and it was going to turn around the fortunes of what had been a terrible season for Liverpool. A lot of Liverpool fans were hoping that this would be big and good news for them. And now it obviously is blown up in their face. And there's going to be a lot more coming for FSG. There's going to be a lot more protest, a lot more chants, and a lot more, maybe even planes flying over Anfield at big games for this in terms of FSGL, because, like I say, it's embarrassing. Whichever way round it is, whether it is genuine that they pulled up because of money, or whether it was because Bellingham rejected them, either way, it is still very much embarrassing for the club that they absolutely messed up this deal despite putting a lot of time and effort into it over the past couple of years. And like I say, whoever comes in now as the alternative is going to have a lot of pressure on their shoulders, probably scrutinised. And let's face it, we're gonna have a summer in which we've got probably James Milner's new contract to look forward to, and the likes of Mason Mount and James Ward-Prowse coming into the squad. Like I say, they could work out, and they could surprise a few. they're just not Bellingham. They're just not the marquee signings that we have hoped and wanted ever since trying to resurrect and rebuild this club on and off the pitch. They're not those players. They're not that those off your seat, go crazy kind of moments and transfers. Unfortunately for them, it's just what we've sort of got to get used to. And as far as Bellingham's concerned, look, if he wants to come back to England, there's only one place for him to go, and that is obviously Manchester City. And with obviously Manchester City's midfield, he is going to slot right in, and he's going to fit in perfectly, and he's going to be there for the next 10 years, and he's going to win everything that there is to offer with that club, and he's going to be absolutely incredible in doing it. If he wants to go for the more infamous route, and obviously go for the more dream route, he's got to play in the all-white strip of Real Madrid. And again, that's scary in itself for a lot of European teams, because Bellingham in that white strip of Real Madrid, in that midfield, which has been completely turned over and redeveloped and resurrected, by the way, in terms of it was Casemiro, Kroos and Modric, and now in the future you're going to have Camavinga, Chouameni and Bellingham. That is scary. That is very, very scary. But he's got two massive options there to choose from. Two massive options. And they are very lucky because, like I say, I want Bellingham, but Liverpool have properly embarrassed themselves in this situation. Regardless of whichever way round it is that they've embarrassed themselves. It is not good. Not good. And like I say, there's probably going to be a lot more coming for FSG in the coming weeks and months in regards to, in the aftermath, should I say, of this new story. But as I always say, these are the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of this news of Jude Bellingham and Liverpool ending their interest, or ending their pursuit of Jude Bellingham? What do you think will happen next for Liverpool? What do you think will happen next for Jude Bellingham? I'm sure all your comments, thoughts, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, will make for interesting reading down below in the comments section. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up. Enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and probably greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. And I'll see you all again soon in another video.